She gave her last $20 to a homeless man, unaware he was the most feared Korean mafia boss in the city. On a cold Thursday night, the kind of night Los Angeles rarely bothered with, a thin man stood outside a 24-hour diner in Koreatown, clothes torn, hair messy, face buried under a hood. A homeless man to anyone passing by, to everyone except her. Alicia Brooks pushed through the diner's back door, apron still on, curls frizzing from 12 hours of steam and grease. She held the day's last cornbread, wrapped in foil, and counted the bills in her hand. $32 in tips, 20 in her pocket. That was her bus fare home, her groceries for the week, her emergency money for when her brother got detention again. But when she saw the man sitting on the curb, legs shaking, lips cracked, eyes lowered like he didn't deserve to be seen, she felt something twist inside her chest. She recognized hunger, the real kind. The kind she'd known as a teenager, when bills piled up and the fridge was a museum of empty shelves. She stepped toward him. "Hey," she said softly, "you eaten today?" He didn't answer. His shoulders didn't move. He might as well have been a shadow. Alicia stopped in front of him anyway, hugging her arms against the cold. "Look, I don't have much, but I can't walk past someone starving." She knelt and placed the foil-wrapped food in his hands. He didn't lift his head, didn't thank her, didn't move. So she did something even she didn't understand. She pulled Waitress, her last $20 sterling from her pocket and slipped it under the foil. "Get a hot meal tomorrow," she whispered, "and don't disappear. People forget the ones who disappear." Then she stood and walked away before she could change her mind. She didn't know that the man she just fed, the man she believed was homeless, broken, forgotten, was the most feared name in the Korean underworld. Ji Han-seok, the ghost king of Koreatown. And she had just given him the first act of kindness he'd seen in a decade. 2 blocks away, in an alley shielded by shadows, the hooded man stripped off the torn jacket and threw it over a trash bin. Underneath the disguise was a navy shirt, expensive fabric hidden under grime, and a wrist tattoo known to only one group, the Seo crime syndicate. Han-seok brushed dirt from his arms and sighed, long, low, exhausted. "What did you find, boss?" his lieutenant asked, stepping out of the darkness. Han-seok held up the foil and the $20 bill. "A reminder," he murmured, voice deep and cold, "that there are still good people in this city." He pressed the bill to his thumb, staring at it like it was a relic. "She gave this to you?" Junho asked, stunned. "She gave me everything she had." Junho exhaled a curse under his breath. "Boss, that's rare," Han-seok finished for him. He tucked the foil under his arm. "I want her name." "Already got it," Junho replied, pulling out a small notepad. "Alicia Brooks, 24, black, waitress, South Side bus line, lives in a rundown building 5 blocks from here, has a younger brother in public school trouble." Han-seok's jaw tightened. She wasn't just kind, she was kind while drowning. That was the kind of woman the world crushed first. And the kind of woman he never forgot. Alicia didn't expect him to return. People who accepted help rarely did. But when she stepped out for her break the next day, she froze. The homeless man sat again on the curb. Except this time, he wasn't slouched. He was sitting tall, shoulders broad, posture strong, clean black hoodie, unshakable presence. He didn't look like someone starving anymore. He looked like someone dangerous pretending not to be. Alicia clutched her apron. "You came back." He lifted his head, and for the first time she saw his eyes, dark, sharp, quietly devastating. "I needed to return something," he said. She blinked. "Return what?" He held up the foil sleeve she'd given him. Inside was her 20 and a $100 bill. "I didn't give you that," she whispered. "No," he said. "But you deserved more." She swallowed, unsure if she should accept it. "I didn't help you for money." "I know," he replied softly. "That's why it matters." The stranger stood. The way he rose, not sloppy, not shaky, but effortless, made something click in her mind. Homeless men didn't move like this, didn't look like this, didn't have hands with calluses from guns and steering wheels, not from hunger. "You're not who you said you were," she said quietly. I never said who I was, he countered. Fair. Dangerously fair. So who are you, really? She asked. His gaze held hers. Slow, steady, calculating, and yet something in those eyes softened, like he didn't want to hurt her with the truth. A man who needed to be reminded what humanity looks like. Her breath caught. He stepped closer, not threatening, but intense in a way that made her heart thudding painfully in her ribs. I owe you a debt, he said. You don't owe me anything. People like me, he murmured. We always owe. At that moment, 3 Korean men in black suits approached the curb. Alicia stiffened. They didn't look like businessmen. They looked like the kind of men who didn't blink during gunshots. One of them bowed slightly. Boss, the car is ready. Alicia's entire body turned cold. Boss? She looked at the hooded man. Cleaner now, eyes darker, posture sharper. He wasn't homeless. He wasn't helpless. He was someone powerful enough to walk with men who bowed to him in broad daylight. Han Seok saw the fear flicker across her face. He stepped closer, voice low. I won't hurt you, he said. She didn't step back. Who are you? She whispered again. He hesitated, then spoke the truth he never gave strangers. Ji Han Seok. The name hit her before the meaning did. She'd heard it whispered through the diner window, heard men curse it in alleyways, heard warnings from older workers. If a Korean man with that tattoo walks in, don't look him in the eyes. That name belonged to a myth, a ghost, a king made of knives and silence. Alicia's breath caught. You're him. His eyes softened with something she couldn't name. You fed me, he said, even knowing nothing about me, even when you had nothing. People are people, she stammered. Hungry is hungry. He nodded once. Which is why I'm not letting you vanish from my life. The sentence shot fire through her chest. What does that mean? She whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the back door of a black Maybach. His men watched silently. A ride home, he said quietly. That's all. She hesitated. He extended his hand, not forceful, not possessive, just steady. You gave me kindness, he said. Let me return at least an inch of it. Her pulse pounded. Her fingers hovered. And then she took his hand. The moment their skin touched, his eyes flicked, sharp, unmistakably shaken, and Alicia felt it too. A spark neither asked for, a doorway neither expected, a future neither saw coming. The inside of the car felt like another planet. Soft leather, faint cologne, the low hum of an engine that probably cost more than her entire building. Alicia sat on the edge of the back seat, hands in her lap, still in her faded diner uniform. The foil smell of cornbread clung to her apron. Across from her, Ji Han Seok sat like he owned the air. Relaxed posture, eyes half hooded, but every inch of him aware. The door shut with a quiet thud. The Maybach pulled away from the curb. She watched the diner vanish in the side mirror, her world getting smaller as his world surrounded her. You don't look surprised, he said after a moment, finding out who I am. Oh, I'm very surprised, she said, staring out the window. I'm just trying not to throw up about it. One corner of his mouth twitched. Most people can't even say my name without stuttering, he replied. You called me him, like I was just an annoying rumor. Well, you were an annoying rumor, she shot back. Until yesterday, you were just a story people used to scare delivery guys. And now? Now you're a man who tried to give me 5 times what I gave you, she said. Which makes me suspicious. He glanced at her. Suspicious of what? You don't get to buy your way out of being human, she murmured. You were cold, hungry, shaking. I saw it. So excuse me if I don't pretend you're untouchable now. He went quiet. Nobody talked to him like that. Not his men, not his enemies, not the politicians who took his money. Where do you live? He asked. Straight, then right at the liquor store, she answered. You'll know my building. It's the one the city forgot to love. Junho's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, watching, memorizing. The car slipped from polished streets into cracked ones. Neon signs turned from sleek to desperate. Potholes jarred the ride. The world got smaller, louder, thinner. Her world. He watched it all. You walk this every night? He asked. Bus? Then 2 blocks, she said. It's not that bad. That bad? His brow lifted. You counted 3 open drug corners between the diner and your stop. She blinked. You notice that? I notice everything that can hurt what's mine, he said simply. The word slipped out before he could catch it. She heard it. I'm not yours, she said quietly. His gaze drifted to her hands, still curled into themselves. Not yet, he murmured. The car pulled up in front of her building, a leaning stack of brick and rust, hallway lights flickering, stair rail held together by prayer. He studied it. He'd bought warehouses in better condition. Alicia grabbed the door handle. Thank you for the ride, she said. You don't have to walk me up. I've survived worse. He opened his own door. I don't leave debts half paid. She rolled her eyes once, but she didn't argue when he fell into step beside her, his men lingering at a distance. The hallway smelled like damp carpet and cheap air freshener. A baby cried behind one door. A TV blared behind another. Someone yelled in Spanish down the stairs. Home sweet chaos, she muttered. He didn't comment. At her door, she fished out her keys. The lock stuck like always, and she had to shoulder it once to get it open. You should get that fixed, he said. Are you going to send a strike team of locksmiths? She quipped. If I have to. She huffed a laugh. You're intense, you know that? So they tell me. She turned, leaning in the doorway. Why were you really out there that night? She asked. You said you needed a reminder. What does that even mean? His eyes darkened, a shadow crossing them. I needed to see, he said slowly, if there was anything left in this city worth softening my hands for. And, she whispered. And then you walked out and gave me your last $20, he said. So yes, there is. Her throat tightened. You don't even know me. I know enough, he replied. I know you help when it hurts you. I know you work too hard for too little. I know your brother's in trouble, but you're still covering for him. I know your shoes are worn down, but your pride isn't. He stepped in, close enough that she had to tilt her head up. And I know any world that eats people like you, he said quietly, is a world I'm tired of ruling. Her pulse stumbled. Good night, Alicia, he murmured. Good night, Han-seok. He paused. No, he said softly. Not here. Call me Seok. Her lips curled around it. Good night, Seok. He turned away, and for the first time in a long time, he walked back to the car feeling like he was moving towards something instead of away from everything. He didn't fix her door with a strike team. He fixed it himself. 2 mornings later, while Alicia was on shift at the diner and Darius overslept, Seok nodded at the building manager, slipped him a thick envelope, and walked up with a small toolkit. The manager's eyes went wide. Sir, you sure? You want to do this yourself? Do you enjoy having your rent paid on time? Seok asked. Yes. Then don't ask me foolish questions. The lock took 10 minutes to replace. The security chain took 3. By the time Darius stumbled out of bed, the homeless guy from the alley was crouched in the doorway, wiping metal dust from his hands. Darius nearly jumped out of his skin. Yo, you? Relax, Seok said, standing, and stop letting your sister come home to a broken lock. Darius shut his mouth. He'd seen things since that alley. He'd heard names on the street. He knew exactly who this man was now. You changed it, he asked. Yes. How much I owe you? Seok looked like he wanted to laugh. You owe your sister, he said. Not me. Grow up before the streets decide for you. Darius swallowed. Yes, sir. Seok nodded once and left. Alicia only found out that evening when she slid the key in and the door opened smoothly. No shove needed. She stopped, then tested it again, then again. What in the... A small note was taped on the inside of the door. Locks shouldn't fight you. She pressed her back to the wood, heart doing something wild. He was dangerous. He was terrifying. He was thoughtful in ways no one had ever been for her. That combination was a problem. A beautiful, massive problem. The next time she saw him was at the diner. Not inside. Outside. He stood across the street, leaning against a lamppost, watching through the window. No hood, no disguise. Just a dark coat and a presence that made people cross the street without understanding why. She took an order, dropped off pancakes, refilled coffee cups, and pretended her skin didn't burn under his gaze. Finally, during her break, she walked out and crossed to him. You're going to scare away all my customers, she said. Your food brings them back, he replied. Not their fear of me. You check the Yelp reviews? She teased. A hint of a smile touched his mouth. I check everything that has your name on it. She folded her arms. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Hovering, she said. Watching. Fixing locks. Showing up like some Mafia guardian angel. His eyes glittered. Would you prefer I ignore you? She opened her mouth, then closed it. No, she admitted softly. I don't know how to exist in a world where someone like you thinks about someone like me. He stepped closer, slow enough to give her time to step back. She didn't. You gave me your last $20, he said. The world doesn't get to pretend you're no one. Shuck. Alicia. Her name in his mouth did something to her. It took all the distance she tried to keep and burned it. He looked at the diner window, at the chipped paint, the tired waitress inside, the regulars who paid in crumpled singles. You hate this job, he said. I hate being tired, she corrected. The job is just the reason. What would you do if you weren't here, he asked. If you weren't counting pennies and splitting tips? She laughed once, no humor. Dreams cost money, she said. I can't afford those. I've got rent, bus fare, my brother's nonsense, and a mother who thinks prayer pays bills. His eyes stayed on her face. Pretend money doesn't exist, he said quietly. Pretend there's no debt, no street, just you. What do you want? No one had ever asked her that. Not teachers, not boyfriends, not bosses. She looked at her hands, fingers scarred from kitchen burns. I'd run my own place, she said slowly. Not a fancy restaurant, a small spot. Late-night food that tastes like home. Somewhere kids can come when they're scared to go back to their block. Somewhere people feel seen. She flushed. That's stupid, I know. Forget it. It's not stupid, he said, voice firm. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. Why? Because it's pure, he said, and purity terrifies men like me. She frowned. And men like you always ruin it? He didn't flinch. Unless we decide to protect it instead. Her chest ached. She was standing in front of a man everyone called a monster, and he was talking about protecting her dreams like they were something holy. Why me? She whispered. He didn't lie. Because that night, when I thought it might be easier to let this city eat me, he said, you handed me food with shaking hands and said you didn't want me to disappear. His gaze burned into hers. No one has ever said that to me, he finished. Not once. Not in 38 years. The wind shifted. She could have run then, back into the safe noise of the diner, back into a life where power didn't notice her. Instead, she said, okay, so, what now? He stepped back, just enough for her to breathe. Now I keep you safe, when he said, whether you like it or not. And what if I don't want your world anywhere near mine? She tested. Then I'll keep my world away, he replied, and still keep you safe. She was about to respond when her phone buzzed in her apron. Darius, she answered. Yo, you busy? His voice came a little too fast. I'm always busy, she said. What's wrong? Nothing, just, if some guys ask about me around your job, you ain't seen me, aight? Her stomach dropped. What did you do? Naomi, I gotta go, just... The line cut. The color drained from her face. Seok saw it instantly. What happened? She looked up at him, panic cracking through her control. Somebody's looking for my brother, she whispered. And when people like that start asking questions, they don't knock as kindly as I did. His expression changed. The softness vanished. The warmth cooled. Something lethal settled into his eyes, like a sword being unsheathed. Go inside, he said, voice flat now. Stay where there are witnesses. Soak. Alicia, he repeated firmer. Inside. She'd heard that tone before. Not from him. From men who took and never gave. But his eyes weren't like theirs. They were wild with something else. Fear. For her. She nodded once and backed toward the diner entrance. What are you going to do? She asked. He glanced toward the street where a black sedan had just turned the corner, slowing like it knew exactly where it wanted to stop. Collect a debt, he said, and remind this city who it belongs to. She opened her mouth again. He cut her off with one last sentence. Whatever you hear, don't come outside. Her hand shook on the door handle. She went inside. Her heart stayed out there with him. As the sedan pulled up, an unfamiliar man stepped out asking for a boy named Darius. Alicia realized something in her life had crossed a line, and the man she'd once thought was homeless now stood between her world and the people who wanted to tear it apart. Not as a stranger, but as someone who had already decided she was his to protect. Alicia pressed her back against the diner door, her breath coming fast and thin. She watched through the front windows as the black sedan idled at the curb, headlights glowing like hungry eyes. The men stepped out slowly, 3 of them, all young, all wearing swagger like cheap armor. One looked around and said too loudly, "Yo, somebody said the kid hangs around here. Tall, cornrows, always with his sister." Alicia's stomach twisted. Darius. Inside the diner, forks paused midair. Regulars sank lower in their seats. Even the cook behind the grill froze. Tension crawled across the room like electricity. Alicia wanted to go outside, wanted to scream at them, wanted to tell them Darius wasn't here, but she remembered Sayok's voice. "Whatever you hear, don't come outside." She clenched her fists. That's when she saw him. Sayok walked out from behind the alley like he'd been carved from darkness itself. No hood, no hesitation, no disguise. He moved like a man who didn't need to raise his voice to be heard, didn't need to threaten to be feared. If shadows had a king, they'd bow to the way he carried himself. The 3 men turned. All fake confidence vanished. "Yo, is that—" "Shut up," another whispered sharply. "Don't say his name." Sayok stood between them and the diner door, between them and her. Alicia swallowed hard. He didn't look at her through the window. Didn't need to. He knew exactly where she was. "What business do you have with Darius Brooks?" Sayok asked. His voice was low, even, terrifyingly calm. One of the guys lifted his chin, pretending bravery. "He owes money. We just trying to get back what's ours." Sayok stepped forward once, just once, but it felt like a building shifted. "And who told you," Sayok said, "that you get to touch him?" The bravest of the 3 scoffed. "We got a problem with the kid, not with you." "Everything involving that family," Sayok replied, "involves me." Alicia sucked in a breath. The men exchanged looks, trying to figure out whether talking back meant suicide. It did. Alicia could see it in Sayok's eyes. The brutal stillness he wore like armor. The cold calculation behind each blink. The quiet violence humming beneath his skin. He wasn't saving her brother out of kindness. He was doing it because someone had dared to threaten someone he'd chosen. The tallest of the men cracked his knuckles. "Look, bro, we don't want beef. We just came to talk." Sayok raised his hand, not to strike, but to stop Junho and 2 others who suddenly appeared from nowhere, stepping out of 2 cars parked on both ends of the street, like they'd been waiting. Always waiting. Alicia's pulse raced. This wasn't a confrontation. This was a message. "You will not," Sayok said, "come here again. You will not go near their building. But you will not speak Darius Brooks's name." His voice didn't rise. The men's breathing did. "Or," Sayok finished, "you'll answer to me." The shortest one swallowed. "Look, man, we didn't know she had—" Sayok didn't let him finish. With one swift movement, faster than Alicia could blink, Sayok grabbed the front of the man's shirt and slammed him against the car hood. Gasps rippled inside the diner. The man's friends froze. Alicia covered her mouth. Sayok bent down, nose inches from his victim's face. "No one," he murmured, "touches what I protect." The street fell silent. Only the hum of the diner sign flickered above them. Sayok finally released the man, letting him stumble backward, nearly falling. "Get out of my sight!" All 3 scrambled into the sedan, slamming doors, tires screeching as they sped away like the devil himself chased them. Maybe he did. Alicia didn't move. Not when the danger left. Not when Junho approached Sayok. Not even when Sayok finally turned his head slightly toward the diner window. She felt the weight of his gaze through the glass. Felt the truth. Felt the fear. Felt something else she didn't dare name. She stepped outside before logic could stop her. The cold air slapped her cheeks. "So that's who you are," she said quietly. Sayok didn't flinch. "You already knew." "I knew stories," she whispered. "Rumors. Whispers. And now you know reality." She shook her head, eyes stinging. That wasn't reality, Seok. That was, that was a war waiting to happen. They threatened your brother. And you nearly broke someone. They deserved worse. You decide that? She snapped. He didn't answer. She breathed harder, chest rising and falling. This isn't normal, she said. You can't just step into my life and decide who gets to be safe. If I don't, he said, no one will. Her voice cracked. My world isn't built on guns and fear. And mine is, he replied softly. But I can use it to shield yours. That's not protection, she whispered. That's possession. He blinked once. A slow, painful blink. She had hit something deep. I don't want to be owned, she said. You're not. You're acting like I am. He stared at her, struggling with the truth he never confronted, the truth that terrified him more than bullets. He cared. He cared too much, too fast, too intensely. Alicia, he said quietly, I told you, I don't hurt what's mine. There it is again, she whispered. Mine, mine, mine. He exhaled, frustration rippling through him. I said those words to warn men like them, not to cage you. But that's exactly what it feels like. She stepped back. He stepped forward, but only half an inch, as if he was restraining every instinct he had. I don't know how to do this, he said. I don't know how to be gentle. I don't know how to protect someone without violence. I don't know how to keep my distance when I... He stopped. When he what? When he wanted her? When he needed her? When she had already become the one thing he couldn't lose? Alicia swallowed a sob. Seok, she whispered, you can't solve my life like it's another street you rule. He took another quiet breath. No, he said, but I can remove anything that threatens you. That's not what I asked for. I know. Long silence, cold wind, humming streetlight, his men watching from a distance, her fingertips trembling. Then, come with me, he said. Somewhere quiet, no cars, no men, no weapons, just you and me. She studied him, the craving in his eyes, the vulnerability he hated showing, the sincerity he didn't know how to hide. Why? She asked. Because, he said softly, if you walk away right now, I don't know if I'll survive the piece of myself you'll take with you. Her breath caught. Her heart betrayed her. This man, this dangerous, powerful man was unraveling in front of her, not because he expected her to fall for him, but because he had already fallen. Alicia, he whispered, please. Her knees went weak. She nodded. Just once. Barely. But it was enough. He stepped back, giving her space, as if she were something sacred. Where are we going? She asked quietly. A place no one knows, he murmured. A place where I'm not a boss, and you're not afraid. He offered his hand, not forceful, not possessive, a hand that trembled almost imperceptibly. She stared at him, then at the street where danger had nearly swallowed her life whole. And she realized something. He wasn't pulling her into his world. He was trying desperately to step into hers. She took his hand, and everything changed. Silk didn't drive her to a mansion. He didn't take her to a warehouse. He didn't take her to any of the places where kings of the underworld ruled from shadows. He took her to the opposite, a small rooftop above an abandoned print shop on Western Avenue. Quiet, forgotten, with a broken sign that flickered like it was trying one last time to live. He led her up the creaking stairwell and pushed open the metal door. Cold air flooded in. Alicia stepped out slowly. City lights spread below them. The sky felt close enough to touch. Wind tugged her curls gently. This is where I go, he said behind her, when I need to remember that I wasn't meant to die angry. She turned. He wasn't looking at her. He was staring at the edge of the rooftop like he'd stood there many times, wondering if the fall would hurt or heal. Her chest tightened. How long have you been coming here? She whispered. 10 years, he said, since the night my father died. His voice was flat, but his eyes weren't. Bitterness sat behind them like a ghost. He was a monster, Seok said quietly. The kind that pretends he's protecting you while tearing you apart from the inside. He beat loyalty into every bone in my body. And the night he died, the organization demanded I take the throne. Alicia stepped closer. You didn't want it, she murmured. No. His jaw tightened. I just didn't want to leave the people under my father to someone even worse. He swallowed. So I became the thing I hated. She reached up, gently placing her hand against his chest. You're not your father, she whispered. I live in the world he built, he said. A world made of knives and debts and blood. A world you shouldn't even stand near. She took his hand. And yet I'm here. He blinked, slow, like he didn't understand why she wasn't already running. Why? He asked. Because I see you, she said simply. Not the boss, not the rumors, not the fear, just you. His grip tightened around her fingers, but only because he was trying not to fall apart. I don't deserve that, he whispered. Maybe not. She leaned in closer. But you deserve one chance to try. Something fragile cracked inside him. He cupped her face with both hands, carefully, like she was something he didn't know how to hold safely. Alicia, I don't know how to love gently. Then learn, she whispered. He kissed her. Not like a man claiming, not like a man devouring, but like someone who had starved too long for warmth and finally found a fire that didn't burn him alive. Her hands slid up to his shoulders. His forehead dropped against hers. For 10 long seconds, the entire city vanished. Alicia woke wrapped in a blanket he'd tucked around her. Not in his bed, not in his mansion. She was still on the rooftop, head resting on his shoulder. Siak hadn't slept at all. He sat upright, watching the horizon lighten with dawn. His coat draped over her like a second blanket. She shifted softly. You stayed awake, she murmured. I didn't want you to wake up alone. Her heart fluttered painfully. Siak, she whispered. Last night, you scared me. But not because you hurt those guys, because you looked like you wouldn't have stopped if I didn't walk outside. He didn't deny it. That part of me, he said, voice raw, is a part I'm terrified to let you see. But I already did, she said, and I'm still here. He stared at her, like she was a miracle he didn't trust his hands to hold. You shouldn't stay, he whispered. My world is made of endings. Yours should be made of beginnings. Then make a beginning with me. He exhaled shakily. You don't know what you're asking. She reached for his hand. I'm asking you to choose something that doesn't kill you slowly. He closed his eyes. A war rippled across his face. Duty versus desire, blood versus softness, throne versus woman. And for the first time, she saw the truth. He wasn't addicted to power. He was trapped by responsibility. Teach me how to leave, he finally whispered. Alicia's breath caught. Because he meant it. He meant every word. I don't want this crown anymore, he said, voice shaking. Not if the price is you. Tears spilled before she could stop them. You deserve a life where people love you without fear, she whispered. He lifted her chin. Then stay with me while I learn. There was no dramatic explosion, no bloody war, no betrayal in the dark. Leaving the organization happened like this. Silk called his top men to the warehouse on 6th Street. He stood at the head of the long metal table. They stared at him like soldiers waiting for orders. I'm stepping down, he said. Shock rippled through them. Junho stepped forward. Boss, no arguments. You built this empire, Junho said. It will crumble without you. Then let it crumble, Shuk replied. Silence, cold, heavy, absolute. Who takes your place? Junho asked carefully. You, Siak said. If you want it. Junho froze. But you're the only one I trust to lead without spilling unnecessary blood, Siak said quietly. And you're the only one who understands why I need to walk away. What changed? Junho asked. Siok's eyes softened. Just a fraction. A woman, he said. One who gave me $20 like it was nothing, and made me realize I've wasted my whole life protecting a kingdom I don't want. Junho swallowed hard, then bowed deeply. So be it, he said. Go, before this world remembers it wants to keep you. Siok placed a hand on his shoulder. Take care of them, he said. All of them. And who will take care of you? Junho asked. Siok looked toward the exit, toward Alicia. She will. Leaving his world wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. Siok sold the cars, closed his penthouse lease, gave away most of his suits, burned documents that tied him to the syndicate, took one duffel bag of clothes, and walked out. Alicia waited outside the warehouse doors with a backpack and a scared, trembling smile. Is that everything? She asked. Yes, he said. She took his hand. Then let's go. They didn't flee. They didn't hide. They simply stepped into a different city where the world didn't know his name. A small apartment above a laundromat, cheap furniture, warm kitchen light, noise from the street below. Home. Alicia got a job at a local soul food cafe. Soak found work at an auto shop. Hands rough, clothes simple, smile real. The owner liked him because he didn't talk much and fixed engines better than anyone else. Weeks passed, then months. One evening, Soak came home with grease on his cheek. Alicia was cooking cornbread, humming softly. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You're smiling," she teased. "I'm allowed to smile now." She leaned back into him. "You happy?" He pressed his face into her shoulder, then whispered the truth he once thought he'd never say. "You saved me." She turned, cupping his jaw. "No," she said. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a reason." He kissed her. Not like a mafia boss, like a man who had finally stepped into the life he deserved. A year later, on a quiet Saturday afternoon, Alicia stood in the kitchen wearing her apron. Shock walked in, holding something behind his back. "What are you hiding?" she asked. He stepped closer and pulled out $20. Her breath hitched. "That day," he said softly, "you gave